Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this evening. Want to let everyone know we had an executive session to talk about a personnel issue prior to the meeting. I want to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the October regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. I want to start with the roll call.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Here.
Mrs. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Siegel.
Here.
Mr. Heilman.
Here.
Mr. Holmes. Is that on?
Here.
Mr. McGarrett.
Here.
Mr. Wexler. Mr. Connell.
Here.
And Mr. Liu.
Here. Tonight's opening prayer will be done by the Reverend David Strip Bethune from Lanark Presbyterian Church.
Good evening, Commissioners, fellow citizens. It's always a privilege and an honor, Commissioners, to be here to offer the prayer for your meeting. I'd like tonight, however, to begin. My heart's been grieved more recently because we've seen the scourge of gun violence, in particularly on our school campuses, not only in far-flung places like Oregon, but even much closer to home, places like Philadelphia. The threat of that violence is too easy to click the remote control and say, that's not us. So if you'd indulge me for just a moment, I'd like us to remember those lives that have been extinguished too quickly, and then I'll offer our prayer for this meeting. Holy God, you called creation into being and human beings to have dominion. Too often our dominion has led to domination at the point of a spear or the end of a gun. Too often we take what we want and dare someone else to stop us. How easy it has become for us, even with our words, to use as weapons, carrying out violence and destruction against one another for how we think or what we believe or who we affiliate with or even how we decide. We've managed to make politics and governing a contact sport. Bash first and ask questions later. But God, we can turn from against one another to for one another. So we pray for this meeting for civility and kindness, for charity toward others, for friendship and common goals that look to the needs of all of Haverford Township. So we pray both for the work and the people our township employs, from managers and commissioners who field angry phone calls and emails, and surprisingly pleasant ones at times, to the workers who shovel leaves and lift trash cans. We pray for our first responders who may find themselves at the other end of the spear or the gun, but who seek to save a life and not rend it. And we pray for each of us that we may learn the value of a smile and a little sharing of joy that can in fact be the measured difference in avoiding the unthinkable. Let this meeting be a place to start. Smiles and joy and love and working for one another. In your great name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Yeah, I have it. Do you want to go first before the proclamation? Okay. All right, now we have a proclamation for Haverford Township Day volunteers. If you guys want to come up. Yeah, sure. Since you're on the committee. You're here tonight.
In my last newsletter, I spoke about volunteers in the township, and how volunteers in this township make the community so great to live in. And without them, it makes our job as commissioners a lot harder. I'd like to read this proclamation for the volunteers that volunteer for Haverford Township Day. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, takes great pride in recognizing outstanding volunteers in our community. And whereas Haverford Township Day has been celebrated in Haverford Township since 1995, and it is the greatest event in our township year. celebrating the wonderful community we live in and the people who live here. And whereas the day would not be possible without the dedication, of the volunteers who make up the volunteer committee, as you see right here. They meet throughout the year to plan activities and organize the parade day. And whereas these volunteers work seamlessly with the township employees to provide a joyful celebration. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford commends and applauds their efforts and hopes that they continue for years to come. Proclaimed this 13th day of October 2015, Township of Haverford, Mary Oliva, President of the Board of Commissioners, Mr. Jim Tillman, Township Manager. Thank you all for everything that you've done.
They're great. They're really great.
They're doing a rain garden. There's a lot of work. And the Philly flag update.
Before we take pictures, let me
Yeah, sure.
let's have Tim say a few words. Tim, could you?
Yeah, thanks, Mario. As Steve said in his proclamation, one of the things I think makes Haverford Township such a great event is the seamless relationship between the volunteer committee and the township employees. Police do a great job, Public Works do a great job, Recreation staff do a great job. But some of the unsung heroes are these guys right here. And actually, Brian and I kind of wear both shirts, you know. We work for the township, but we also volunteer our time on Haverford Township Day. And Chris Connell here, the commissioner, is also one of those. And I thought people might find it interesting to know this is the 21st. Happens to be my son Joshua's 21st birthday. Haverford Township Day started in 1995. Some of you might think, how does the math work? But 95 was year number 1. So this is year number 21.
Cute.
And in 1995, Tom Banner came to me, and he said that the Civic Council, Paul Doneno, Helen Berger, Judy Rice, wanted to do a community day, and could I work with them? And we met and we spoke, and Jimmy Marino, who was our fire marshal, we met, and I said, well, I think there's one commissioner I can talk into doing it, and that was Jim McGarity in the 7th Ward. And that's how it got started. And not everybody kind of realizes that, but from day one, it was a nice celebration. We had a nice write-up in the paper.
That's interesting.
And here's the poster from the first year showing where everything would be. It even says a rain date, but we gave up on rain dates, so we've never gotten rained out. And this year we were testing our luck, and luckily Peter was doing his rain garden, and that got us by. But I remember the first year setting up at Brookline Boulevard and Darby Road, and I kind of set up the stage myself, and it was a dreary 7 o'clock in the morning, just like this year, and I started playing the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun on the music, and I wondered to myself, will anybody show up? Is anybody going to show up? And then people started trickling in, and everybody was so pleased to be there. And it was a great success, and it's been a great success ever since then. I know for a lot of my kids, and I hear for other people's kids that go away to college, one of the things they say they miss is Haverford Township Day. And I'm disappointed Diane Josepher couldn't be with us tonight, because Diane has been with us from year 1. And Brian Barrett, who works with me, unfortunately could not be here because of some family issues. And Brian has been with us since year 1. But I thought, since it's all grown up, it's 21 years old, it was a good time to recognize these people for their hard work, because we plan all year long. And I just wanted to publicly thank them and congratulate them. Thank you.
I'm a paid employee. Jimmy was instrumental, as Ken said, so I'd like to get him on.
Yeah.
he did to me was a disgrace and notification date back as I walked by the podium. Tim jumped up and announced me. This is a disgrace. And that's allowed to go on. It was amazing.
Janice does the prayers, Susan, Dave helps with the parade, Peter does the green zone, Bill does the music, Chad helps with the 5K, there's a number of other people, Paul Molino helps with the parade, couldn't be here. Anybody else I'm forgetting? And Dan Connell, Chris's son. Chris says he's going to come back and join us on the committee, right? Yeah, he was there this year, filling in. Thank you. Good guy.
So he's great.
Yes, Commissioner Oliva, our president, if I could just have a second. The police also, and the public works obviously did a fantastic job on Hartford Township Day, as they always do, so we thank them as well. But something happened on Friday night with our K-9 unit. Our K-9 unit, Officer Valvardi and K-9 Barr were dispatched to Marple Township to search for a 99-year-old missing woman. After a short search in darkness, Barr found her in a wooded area. She had fell down a steep slope and needed medical assistance. Apparently, this slope was at least 10 feet, and it was on the northeast corner of the property, and this patient sustained injuries to her head and a possible broken arm. So our Marple police and medics responded and transported the missing person to the hospital. So I want to thank Officer Hardy and K-9 Officer Barr, Chief, for their assistance. That is an excellent find, and they possibly saved this woman's life. So thank you very much. We should thank the police for that.
Okay, it's time for the Township Auditor update.
I got it.
Okay, Larry Holmes will be-
Mr. President, I've been asked by Mr. Zlotnick to report that he is not able to be in attendance tonight, but that as he has done in the past, and he did here, he reviewed all the disbursements for the last month and sent any questions that he had to our Finance Director, Ms. Cuthbertson. All those questions were answered to his satisfaction, and in his opinion, there are no irregularities in any of the warrants for this period.
Thank you very much. Okay. So now moving on to Citizens Forum. This is the 20 minutes registered speakers. We'll start with Adam Terranova.
Prior to that, may
Okay, I'm sorry.
I understand that there will be a resolution brought up under new business tonight, which is a resolution that was inadvertently left off the agenda. It is a resolution for the minor subdivision plan for Terrador Properties LLC for the property at St. Denis Avenue and Campbell Avenue, which is Delaware County Folio Number 220300264000, has been submitted to permit the subdivision of the existing 31,722 square foot lot to create 5 lots. The resultant lot areas are as follows. Lot number 1, 6,373 feet. Lot number 2, 359 feet, square feet. Lot 3, thank you, Larry, 6,344 square feet. Lot 4, 6,330 square feet. And Lot 5, 6,316 square feet. The subject property is zoned R4, which is a residential district, and is located in the 3rd Ward. The plans were prepared by Herbert McCumbee and dated August 3rd, 2015. Because I understand that this will be brought up under new business, I wanted to make the public aware of that in case there's any public comment during the public comment session. We would entertain it. Thank you.
Okay. Adam, you're up. She saved you. She gave you a couple minutes to go over your...
My
My name is Adam Terranova. I'm a member of the Ice Rink Advisory Board, AKA the Stadium, or whatever you want to call it. We submitted a letter to the board about a month ago. We're happy to announce that profitability for 2015 will be somewhere around $200,000 back into the township.
All right.
We made some significant improvements during this year. We've had a quorum every single month where we've been able to meet. We've gotten in-depth on a lot of things. I'm not going to get too involved in them. A couple of main points where we think that the opportunities lie in 2016 for, again, continued growth of the ice rink is, public skating, events and activities around that, and how we get the message out to the community. Other things are the involvement in the hockey leagues that are around there. We think we can get some better games out there from teams that are maybe traveling to Westchester or to Aston, can be played right here and bring more of a fan base to it. And then really just more of the opportunities as far as tracking. But everything's detailed out in a letter that we submitted to you guys with some action items and for that. So overall, everything's going well. Profitability is good. And we think we can even do better in 2016. So with that, I'll just any questions from any of you guys?
Any questions?
Anybody?
No, there's
I'm
no
done.
questions. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the nice job with the Ice Rink Advisory Board. Next, we'll have Keith Hensel. Keith Hensel in the audience. Dara Gans.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dara Gans, as Mario just mentioned. So I want to thank everyone for allowing me to have a couple minutes here today. I want to make a few key points about the backwater valves we talked about last week. After I left here, I had the opportunity to speak with several of the local plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors that belong to the Philadelphia Suburban Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors Association. It's a mouthful. There are approximately 100 local companies in this area, and then about 200 throughout the state of Pennsylvania. And according to the Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management, FEMA, flooding can sometimes cause sewage and sanitary sewer lines to back up in houses through drain pipes. These backups not only cause damage that is difficult and costly to repair, but they also create health issues. A good way to protect against sewage backup is to install backwater valves. This is why they are designed to prevent blockage sewers from coming into the house and potentially ending up with live sewage in your basement. And that's also why the township is requiring backwater devices to be installed in new construction and then when houses are sold here in Haverford Township. So when I met with these plumbers, a couple of things were discussed, and there were three things I wanted to bring back today. Primarily talking about the multi-flap device that we spoke about last week, which is this device here. And when we talked about it, we kind of thought about how this device could or couldn't work. And when we kind of went through everything, we loved the idea of the fact that it offered homeowners a less expensive opportunity to maybe have this fixed. But unfortunately, it really isn't a viable option for all parties involved. As plumbers, we have three concerns about the flapper. It's a flapper that's made in the UK. The township is currently using it or allowing it for toilets if the lowest drain line is less than 24 inches above the nearest upstream manhole. So the three issues that we were having is, one, that the intended use for this device is a patent pending device, and it's a flapper. And it's really to stop vermin from entering your toilet. The literature states that it's to, and I quote, protect your toilet from snakes, rats, frogs, cockroaches, and other pests, end quote. The device itself has right on it an icon of a snake, a rat, and a frog. As plumbers, we're not really confident that this is going to stop sewage from coming into the homeowner's basement and prevent the possibility of knee-deep sewage in your basement if the main sewage system has an issue. Second issue is the potential damage in the future. If the house is sold, A new homeowner might not know that this device is on their toilet. They might call a plumber because the toilet's backed up. It might need to be augered. They might need to put electric equipment down the toilet to try and clear the line. Unfortunately, what will most likely happen is this device will break off and now be stuck in your sewer line. It could result in having the auger or the cables stuck in the toilet, or even having the toilet break. And these are just a few issues that could arise, but all pretty much ending up with costly repairs from hundreds to thousands of dollars. The third reason is the most concerning for us as plumbers, and really why I'm here today.
Dara,
Yeah.
we're going to have to wrap it up, okay?
The device is not approved by the International Code, and it is a plumbing code that tells licensed plumbers what we're allowed to do. The license code, as plumbers, we take an oath, and we are supposed to abide by these codes. Due to the fact that this flapper device is not installed by a homeowner or a township, you're relying on a licensed plumber. And it's really putting us in a precarious position because it's kind of asking us to break the rules that we're supposed to be following and the codes that have set forth for us. So just as all of us have rules and regulations in our own jobs as lawyers, realtors, etc., we have rules that we need to follow. So this device might be meeting the requirements for the township, but for us as plumbers putting it in, it really puts us in a bad situation. In conclusion, as a licensed plumbing contractor, we would appreciate the township to reconsider it and the use of this device because it could potentially put us in future risk for potential lawsuits, and also just putting us in a very difficult situation between trying to keep the township happy, our customers happy, but then also abide by the rules that we're supposed to be following. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Kelly? Mr. Kelly, the IVN?
Yes.
Come on up. We don't bite, I swear. You're going to be fine. You're fine. We've had nobody die up there, so you're good.
Good evening. My name is William Kelly, and I'm the proud owner of the IVN. I've been working in the restaurant business since I was 14, and when I found out the IV was for sale, I instantaneously knew that was my destiny. That was March 1st, 2007. I've been at the upstairs at the apartment for 9 years as a resident and a business owner for almost 9 years on Brookline Boulevard. And we are very pleased about the potential opportunity for the expansion at the vacant property at 39 Brookline Boulevard. Two things I think you should know about the IVN is who we are. We give back. Over the almost 8.5 years that we've been in business, we've given it back to 38 youth and charity organizations in the area. Not the Spring Fest and the big money makers. These are youth and charity organizations such as Brookline Fire Company, the Brookline Baseball, Haverford Football Followers, Time Out for Teal, and a whole bunch of others. And lastly, we run a Toys for Tots tournament every year, where the last 7 years we have collected 583 toys for children, underprivileged children, as close as Brookline Firehouse and the Marines there, and as far away as Pottstown. So this is who we are. We are good neighbors, and I'm proud to live on Brookline Boulevard and work on Brookline Boulevard. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank all the supporters here and in town.
Thank you. Bob McCrate.
Good evening. My name is Bob McCrate. I'm the Republican candidate for 3rd Ward Commissioner. I live at 2446 St. Dennis Lane. And I just want to thank the township and everyone involved in the different activities that have been here in the 3rd Ward, with the Music Fest, with Tom Kelly, with the police department, Department of Recreation, all the musicians who came out. And unfortunately, rain came in the later part of the afternoon, and everybody still had a good time. Haverford Township Day was a big thing here in A lot of the residents of the Third Ward I've seen on the route, and I also saw them in their homes. And again, we need to thank the volunteers who put on that day. We need to thank the Department of Public Works, the Department of Recreation, the 5 fire departments in the township who come out with all their equipment and show everybody what they are and how they will here to protect us in the case of a fire. The Haverford High School band played great music, and they kept the day very festive. And finally, fire prevention at Oakmont. Again, another event with rain threatening, and it poured rain all day, but it came very clear about 7 o'clock, and they still got to be able to demonstrate a lot of their fire prevention activities, entertaining for the children, and they provided cartoon coloring books and crayons for the children, and try to instruct everyone with fire safety and make sure that their smoke alarms are up and running. So I just want to thank all the different departments, the fire department, the police department, and recreation, for providing these 3 activities, and all the township and township commissioners to make Haverford Township as exciting as it is for all the residents all the time. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Donald? Mr. Donald? Okay. We will move on to Dr. Levin.
Thank you. I am not going to, I'm Mike Levin, and this is 414 Mill Road. It's my residence for the last 26 years. I've turned out a sheet, which is at the front of the room. If you don't have it, click one up. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you here. I'm going to just go over the high points. First of all, the YMCA and its trail, and the trail from Manoa Road to the Y, has a number of 2 barrels and some soil covered by a sheet, which must be contaminated soil. We're wondering when it's going to be tested, when it's going to undergo a further discussion with the owner and DEP or EPA, and declare these projects safe, because it was astounding to see homes being built in the area while this is taking place. Drums normally carry petroleum products of this nature because they're easier to transport. Second, a meeting was held in November of 2014 having to do with stormwater, which was awful from the standpoint of the residents who had been affected. Yet after repeated inquiries, no data has been presented for any of $8.5 million worth of projects, and the township engineer has submitted grant proposals for approximately $1 million. I'm astounded that this is taking place, and as citizens and residents of this township, you should be embarrassed to say that your township is going to spend that kind of money, even public money, on a project for which there is no data that has been confirmed by any of the committees in the township. Third, the Freedom Valley YMCA was built on a Superfund site, the details of which are in this paragraph. They have intentionally put a system under that site to evacuate air when it is activated. That has not been done, to my knowledge, nor has the data been presented. The data would be approximately 98 chemical parameters done by TO15 or TO17, which are the EPA-approved tests. When is that system going to be activated? I am beginning to get inquiries about this from users of the Y. Before the Y was built, there was a small number, perhaps 100 or so, residents in that area. Today, we have a pool of about over 20,000 people who are using that facility. For God's sakes, please activate that system. It was built for it. Fourth, the installation of the backwater valve in the sanitary sewer lines.
Yep,
Well,
you've had 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. There are some things that I have found out. 5 townships or municipalities within Delaware County have put this system into use, or a system like it. Now we'll get to that. Chester, Concord, Darby, Rose Valley, and Upland. I have Rose Valley.
Dr. Levin, you have gone past your time there. Are you going to wrap it up?
May I continue with this, please? This is important. You're taking it up at a meeting at this stage. I really want to tell you that the valve is not a simple little thing about the size of this. It is a large unit that breaks your sewer line in the first place, connects to it, and once you've done that, you will have trouble cleaning out that sewer line if you ever need to.
Okay, Dr. Levin.
First,
Dr. Levin,
the last point, please. The last point is that the use of that device in line, which is a large device, is not able to be surveyed. It should be examined periodically, and examining it is going to be difficult if it's not installed in a location in the house. And many of them can't be located in the house. For example, mine can't be located in the house. It has to be underground by several feet. As a consequence, this is not a simple device to use. The Swarthmore system, the Swarthmore ordinance, only deals with whether the sewer line is intact. It does
Okay, you
not
have to
deal
wrap it
with
up.
placement of the
If I'm not, I'm going to have you removed.
sewer line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next is the 20 minutes agenda items. So anybody who would like to speak on agenda items in the first row? Anyone? Second row? On this side? I want to keep it to 3 minutes, please.
I will be brief. So, number 12, I believe, my name is Kevin McCluskey. I live at 2436 Whitby Road. Number 12, I believe, on the agenda, there's a purchase of a police vehicle. I began my career as an assistant district attorney in Montgomery County, and I commend this board for their close relationship with the police and providing the support that's needed. I know from experience how important it is to have an open line of communication between government entities, including the police, and how that is important to supporting this community. I hope it's not a secret at this point that I am running for commissioner in the 3rd Ward. And people have asked me why I'm doing that. And why would I want the hassle? Why would I want to get involved in sort of the issues that are involved in local politics? And for me, the issue is really simple. My family, we moved to this community. I grew up here. I care about this community, and I don't want to see good things happen. And I believe, based on my experiences and the perspective I have, that I can offer something to this board. As I said, I was an assistant district attorney. I understand the need for open communication between various government entities. I also am someone who grew up here. I chose to move back here to raise my family, and I think with the number of young families that are involved in this community at this point, that's a perspective that is needed on this board and one that I can bring. But I also have the perspective of 2 parents who both recently retired, who have lived here for 30 years. And I understand that their needs from the Board of Commissioners might not necessarily match up with the young families, but we have to balance that. I've addressed over the last couple months some issues such as the business districts, our need to communicate via modern technology. There's work to be done, and I'm willing to do that work with this board. And I'm going to hopefully, I've asked people in the 3rd Ward to vote for me. And hopefully the next time I talk at one of this meeting, I'll get to do it by sitting down. Thanks.
Okay. Well, that was about the animal control vehicle, right? I just want to get that straight. Thanks. Come on, roll. Okay. Anybody else in that row? John?
John Ryan, 534 Cathmere Road, Havertown, obviously. Just a couple quick comments looking over here. I guess there's a second reading amending the garbage, rubbish, and refuse, and I assume that's going to the new schedule that we adopted last July?
No, that's not what
No,
that's
it is
about.
not?
That's
No?
not what that's about.
Okay, then I don't have a problem with that. I guess, well, then never mind.
That reminds me
Good
of
to see
Emily
you again.
Latella. Is there anybody remember Emily Latella from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Wasn't it Rosanna Donna?
Yeah. Okay. Anybody in the third row? Fourth row? Wow. On this side, first row? Second row? Third row? And fourth row. Nice. Okay. Larry, you want to address those issues?
Yeah, just a couple of them, just the ones who had questions. Mrs. Gans, thank you again for the comments regarding the back water valves. We had this board had a great presentation by your father. It was a great presentation, so it was a lot of knowledge. No decisions are going to be made tonight or in the near future, being reviewed by our legal department along with our codes department. Mr. Kelly, congratulations. Best of luck on your future there. Dr. Levin, just a couple real quick things. I know it's you had a lengthy report, but real quick, as far as the work on the trail, the township's been working with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning, the EPA, and the DEP to address the trail construction in a safe and responsible manner. We're not taking up any soils or digging by any of the soils. We're just paving the original trail. Not aware of any barrels that are on the trail, but I'll have that checked out with our codes department tomorrow. With relating to the storm projects, I think it's important to note what the audience and everyone in the community to remember. We did not commit, this board did not commit any financial funds or approve any financial funds. Where we budgeted some capital monies to do future stormwater repairs, but we have not authorized, this board has not authorized any funds to date, so no projects have been approved. We actually have, our engineering department in the township have 3 major grants that we submitted to the state. We should be hearing back soon, but unfortunately, until I see a budget approved at the state level, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything in the very near future.
Is that it?
And that's it.
Okay.
Can I
Wait,
just say
hold on.
Well, I just want
Commissioner Connell asked first.
okay.
extend my thank you very much to this Ice Rink Advisory Board. I had the privilege of meeting with them most months, and I want to tell you they are a fine group of people who dedicate themselves month after month after month and coming back and trying to come up with many different ways, whether it be through monthly themes, social media, just looking at the finances that it costs to run the stadium and trying to make sure that the stadium operates, without it being a burden to the community. And for a recreational facility, it is a tough thing to do. So I greatly appreciate the time that they come back, like I said, month after month, on that committee and brainstorm and come up with many ideas, volunteers. Thank you. And the other thing is that to Mr. Kelly at the IVN, I've known him for many years, and he is an upstanding man in the community. Has had many very responsible with the community, as well as outreach and what have you. And I appreciate all the things that you've done, and I wish you luck also in the expanding your establishment there. I think you're definitely an asset to the Boulevard and the community.
And I give kudos to what Mr. Connell just said about Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. And
yeah, quick question, because Dr. Levin spoke about the Y and the Superfund site. This is a question for Dave. Across the street from there, in the first ward meeting, some of my residents were asking about the construction going on there and the dirt that's up there and the retention tubes they look like there. Are they digging where there's any contamination there, Dave?
And actually Lori and I don't know if Joe's here. Lori and Joe have been monitoring it too, but that project's going going in on top of the cap, actually, the building. And then the stormwater management system started to go in an area when it was opened up, there was found some contaminated soils. EPA was notified, and EPA's, and Joe, tell me if I'm getting it wrong, EPA was notified, and EPA is on top of the contaminated soil part. So that's that part, and it was where the stormwater management facility was going.
So they did find contaminated soil.
Yeah. But I don't know the details of what it was, Steve. I don't.
Well, can we get an update of what's going on with that? And not now. I mean, I don't mean now. I mean,
Hold on 1 second. Laura's gonna come up here.
Contaminated soil were same contaminations that were under the cap, were found adjacent to the cap in front of where the storage building is under construction on Eagle Road. Now, the storage building itself is on top of the cap. So this was outside of the parameters of the cap, closer to Eagle Road. So those soil, contaminated soils have to be remediated before they go any further. And that would be under the guidance and direction of EPA and the Pennsylvania
This is across the
DEP.
street they're talking about.
okay, so contaminated soil was found. Had they not touched that property, we wouldn't have had that contamination, correct?
No, the contamination was there.
No, but the soil came up because they're digging there.
No, they exposed.
It would have been exposed.
But this is not within the cap. They've not pulled back any of the cap. This was an uncapped area.
We have contaminated soil, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the approval of minutes.
Mr. President.
Again.
General Holmes.
Mr. President, I move we adopt our minutes from our meeting in September. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the date of the meeting. Our meeting of September 8th, 2015. I do have a revision to the minutes, but I think I have to move them and someone has to second them, and I'm going to make a
Yeah, go ahead.
revision.
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner
It's a minor revision, but at the very end of the minutes, it discusses comments from individual commissioners. Comment I made at the last meeting seems to mischaracterize a complaint that Mrs. Doherty had about an issue with the Codes Department. There were no issues with the Codes Department from Mrs. Doherty. My comments at that meeting were to publicly praise the Codes Department for different issues that it had addressed. Mrs. Doherty's issues were with me, and they were well-founded, and I apologized at that meeting for them. So I just would like the minutes to reflect that Commissioner Holmes publicly apologized to Mrs. Doherty about an issue she was having with him. That's the only change I have to the minutes.
Okay, you accept
It's
that?
accepted.
Okay. All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
McGarity? I stepped out. Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Levin?
Yes. Number 6, approval of warrants.
Mr. President,
Mr.
I
Holmes.
move we approve warrant number 10 of 2015 totaling $4,908,069.54, comprising the general and sewer fund payroll for September 10 of 2015 in the amount of $584,197.73, the general and sewer fund payroll for September 24th, 2015 in the amount of $621,098.88, the general fund disbursements, number 10 of 2015, in the amount of $3,035,859.39, sewer fund disbursement, number 10 of 2015, in the amount of $243,413.38. Community Development Block Grant Fund disbursement number 10 of 2015 in the amount of $77,324.36. The Home Grant Fund number 10 of 2015 disbursement in the amount of $50,694.16. The Capital Project Funds disbursement number 10 of 2015 in the amount of $291,653.08. And a credit card statement ending September 27, 2015, in the amount of $3,828.56.
Second.
Mr. President, our township auditor has been through these warrants, has reviewed them all. Any questions that he had, he raised to Ms. Cuthbertson. Those questions have been answered to his satisfaction. He recommends these warrants be approved, as do I.
All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler? Yes. Mr. Connell?
Yes.
And Mr. Leva?
Yes. Number 7, ordinance number P24-2015.
I guess that would be me.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Motion to adopt. No?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Motion to adopt second reading of ordinance number P24-2015, further amending Chapter 95 garbage, rubbish, and refuse.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded.
It's a second reading.
Yeah. Do we know, you want to give us a little explanation on this?
Second reading, we did this.
The second reading.
I understand, but we had somebody in the audience
Sure,
ask
you
a
wanna-
question.
Can you step up just,
So, just
I
a
think it's
brief-
always good sometimes to reiterate what we're doing.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're reestablishing the provisions for fines and penalties, and the fees for garbage that were omitted the last time, but also for the collection of liens. I have Amy behind you nodding. So the collection of liens, and it should, I mean, I don't think that there's anything new.
No.
It's just putting them back in there since we updated the recycling provisions and some of the other provisions. They were omitted in error with the original draft. And then again, the matter of collecting unpaid fees was also included.
Okay.
A couple of words were
That-
changed.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Okay. All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell? Yes. And Mr. Leva?
Yes. Number 8, ordinance number P25-2015.
Mr. President, make a motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance P25-2015, authorizing traffic restrictions on the following highways: to establish stop signs on Dill at the intersection of Stump Lane, establish special purpose parking zone on the north side of Penview Road, 100 feet west of Belmead Avenue, establish parking of all vehicles prohibited at all times on Hillside Road, east side, 20 feet north of Steel Road.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell? And Mr. Leva?
Yes. Number 9, ordinance number P26-2015.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance P26, 2015, authorizing traffic restrictions on the following highways. Establish stop signs on the following highway: on Claymore Avenue at the intersection of Dill Road, making this a four-way intersection; on Gladstone Road at the intersection of Lexington Avenue, making this a four-way intersection; on Sunny Hill Lane at the intersection of Maryland Avenue; on Sunny Hill Lane at the intersection of Roosevelt Avenue; on Parkview Drive at the intersecting entrance of 3000 Parkview Drive, making this a three-way intersection; to establish special purpose parking sign on the following highway in front of 2307 Kenilworth Road, Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Establish parking of all vehicles prohibited at all times be established on the following highway: on the south side of Buck Lane from Walnut Lane to a point 35 feet east, and on the south side of Buck Lane from Walnut Lane to a point 35 feet west.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Yeah, Dan seconded. I'm sorry, Commissioner Siegel seconded that. All right, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell? Yes. And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Number 10, resolution number 1985, 2015.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Holmes.
Mr. President, I move we adopt Resolution Number 1985-2015, approving the final land development for Philadelphia Freedom Valley Y for the property located at 801 and 805 North Eagle Road, Haverford Township, Delaware County, also known as DC Folios numbers 22-01-00331-00 and 22-00-00331-00, has been submitted to develop 35 hundredths of an acre with a 30-space parking lot. Subject property is zoned light industrial district and is located in the 4th Ward. Aforesaid plans were prepared by Eustis Engineering of Willow Grove, PA, 19090, dated October 15, 2014, last revised on July 1, 2015, subject to the recommendations of the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Well,
Commissioner Holmes.
Mr. President, we discussed this, not at length, but did discuss it fairly in an animated fashion at the work session. There are, let's see, 26 plus 5, there are 31 conditions from the Township Engineers Review, and then 4 additional conditions from the, 6 additional conditions from the Planning Commission. One of those conditions is raises concerns for me and raised concern for other people on this board, and also raised concerns for the YMCA. And that is, the proposed parking lot will not be made available for use until the Lawrence Road and Eagle Road intersection improvements are completed. Mr. President, I do not believe it is appropriate for this board to place that restriction on the YMCA from using this proposed parking lot, as they do not have a complete control over the completion of the Lawrence Road and Eagle Road intersection improvements. And as I understand, the steps that they need to take to do what they can do to complete the Lawrence Road and Eagle Road intersection improvements, as far as submitting plans and requests, that those steps have either been completed or in the process of being completed. And the parking lot itself is going to alleviate some of the concerns of the local neighborhood with regard to additional, with parking filtering out into the local streets, because this will be a dedicated lot to employees of the YMCA, and as a consequence will open up more parking in the general lot, and again, hopefully alleviate not only parking issues in the immediate area, but perhaps alleviate traffic concerns as well. As fewer people will pull in, find no parking, and leave, you will have less of that immediate ingress and egress. Therefore, it is my recommendation that the resolution be amended to strike condition number 2 from the resolution, and not make the use of the parking lot dependent on the completion of the Lawrence Road and Eagle Road intersection improvements.
Okay, so you want to amend the motion?
Yeah, I would like to amend the motion to delete number
Okay,
2.
Who called? Who read it?
I read it. I don't know who seconded
I
it.
think there's another change.
I
Isn't that in the
second it.
7th Ward and not the 4th Ward?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. It's the 7th ward, not the 4th, but that's, let's,
Just a typo, it looks like.
there's a typo
It's
in
the
there, and then
Chairman, may
there's,
I make a statement
Okay.
before we vote?
Hold on, so
well,
let's...
we're not, he hasn't even accepted the amendment.
I know. Okay, Dan, thanks. I'm just saying before we vote.
Okay, sure. So we want to do a voice vote on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
No, I'm sorry.
Are you doing to change
You're
the?
not doing a voice
No,
vote
it's
to
not.
it.
It's the-
I'm proposing this resolution and proposing that the resolution be changed, that number 2 be stricken from it. If the person who seconded it agrees to that change.
I do.
Then the resolution before the board is this resolution minus section 2.
Okay.
I thought you
That's
were
all I
voting on
need
the
is the
change from the
second.
4th to the 7th. No. I thought you were changing the wording from the 4th to the 7th Ward. You're not, you're.
I can
I
do
got
that
it.
as well.
Yeah, we need to do that.
One thing at a
So
time.
I would like to make 2 changes to the resolution that I've proposed. The first being that the 4th ward referenced in the opening paragraph is changed to the 7th ward. The second change I would like to make to resolution number 1985-2015
Okay, so
is
we-
to remove condition number 2.
I get you. We don't, because that was advertised that way, do we
not a-
need to?
This is a first,
It's a resolution.
Resolution
and it's our only consideration of it, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and
that we're
so
doing
just
things
people aren't voting right now on whether, on this entire resolution. We still can debate every other element of the resolution, but I don't want the resolution proposed to this board with condition number 2 in it.
Right.
So I have changed it and the person who seconded it needs to either approve the amendment or not.
Okay, so he approves the,
No, that's Commissioner Hall needs to, because she.
Correct, she seconded it. I
Oh.
have, it's a different issue.
okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Sorry.
Do you accept that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Commissioner Hall is accepting that, so that's what's in front of the board. Discussion?
I have
Go ahead,
two
Commissioner.
issues. First, at the work session, it was discussed that there would be an application filed with PennDOT by the end of last week. And I'd like to first verify, I know there's numerous people here from the Y, that that was in fact done.
Please come up.
I'm sorry.
Identify yourself.
Yes, I'm Jennifer Walsh. I'm with McMahon Associates. That application was filed today.
Okay.
Why today? Why didn't you do it 9 months ago?
Why did we do it 9 months ago?
Right. Why today? Why just today?
Well, okay, if I can just, I'll go back and kind of give an explanation. From the time the Y was opened, it was approved with the condition that all site improvements would be done at Eagle and Lawrence, along with Eagle and Darby and Eagle and West Darby. Since that time, we've been working very closely with the township to do other improvements, potential other improvements that require landowner approval, and took time to kind of get through that process. So the priority for the improvements was always at the forefront of the Y, but in trying to do the best that we could do with these improvements, we had to work through the process with other landowners to try to get the best improvements we could out there. And that's what took the time. We've been wanting to do the project and doing the improvements for a while now, but I think Lori can attest that we have been working very closely with the township to make sure that we could do the best job that we could do along this corridor, and propose the best improvements that would make the most impact, because we all know it's a challenging corridor from a traffic perspective.
It's very challenging. Dave, could they have worked on this a lot sooner than yesterday?
That's a pretty subjective question, but there were a lot of moving parts. A little bit tough on the Y. The permit requirements did require their application to go in
Could have got it started.
long before this, frankly, and I'm sure I'll say that. And there, like I said, in their defense, there were a lot of moving parts. Some of this property acquisition helped. Perfect world, I think, as township engineer, I would prefer to see it going a little sooner. That's just me, one person. But,
Sure.
to be honest with the question, I'd kind of say, I think so. Probably could have gone a little sooner.
I have concerns that it's going to take a while for that intersection. I mean, I was invited to a meeting here by Commissioner Hall and Commissioner Siegel, and this room was packed with residents that had real concerns about traffic and parking. Today I went by the Y around, I guess, 1:30, and I purposely stopped and looked in the parking lot, and you had spaces all the way towards the township building in that lot. And I just have real concerns that we're opening that parking lot, and we have no idea how long it's going to take to rectify the intersection.
Well, I can tell you what schedule that we have estimated, and again, I guess in response to doing this sooner, we were working with the township. As soon as we found out about some issues that we were waiting to hear about, things happening across the street, as soon as we found out about when we could move forward, we jumped on things and moved forward. So yes, we would have loved to have filed a long time ago, but we were trying to do what was best for the corridor and wanting to do it right the first time. And again, we were working closely with the township the whole time. That's all I can say. As far as the schedule from now on, it is submitted to PennDOT. We estimate a few-month review to go back and forth with the design plans. We expect an approval by beginning of January of 2016. However, construction really couldn't begin until the spring anyway. So we envision the improvements being constructed in the spring of 2016, which would probably be the earliest that we could get to it, given the approval through the PennDOT process.
Okay, Commissioner Siegel?
Yes. Since last week and intermittently in between, I continue to get calls, obviously, from residents about the issue. It is obviously a concern. I'm glad to hear that the Y has filed the application. What I would like to do is to make a motion where we amend the resolution where we would ask or require that you provide biweekly reports of your progress with PennDOT to the township so that we can report that to residents and just know the status of the project rather than sort of find out about it months later, and that we can understand what's going on, what the Y is doing, what's happening with PennDOT, and report to the residents, because it's obviously a troublesome intersection. I have to drive by it, I live near it, and it impacts so many wards in the township. Would there be any problem from the Y's perspective, providing us essentially biweekly reports just of what the status is? We've heard from PennDOT, we've met, whatever, there's no news.
I think it's a great idea. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Dave Calcone,
Right.
about the Y. We have absolutely no problem providing the updates, but given the response time from PennDOT, we think probably it would be most efficient to issue monthly reports. I don't think we're going to get updated information every 2 weeks.
Okay,
So
and that's,
We don't. You can
but
do
we
it.
need a regular reporting, simply to deal with the volume of concern, shall we say, that is there, and there are, some issues that this will resolve, some it's not. You can't remove all the cars, but, it takes a tremendous time. Okay, then I would.
If you need it, again, I think
Okay.
you're aware, I'm in the township
Right.
too. I drive this car there every day going to work. I know the improvements that are needed. We're anxious to get them started. Now that we are in the PennDOT, we will be keeping kind of close communication with PennDOT to make sure this moves smoothly and as quickly as possible. Now that we're moving forward, again, we've sort of been a holding pattern for a while. But now we are actually moving in the direction forward. So I'm happy to provide whatever you need, whatever the Y
Okay,
would like
I'm
us
sorry.
to do.
Can we provide, even if there's no update, just to
And
give us something
biweekly, if you
every
say
2
there's
weeks?
nothing, it's an email
Say-
where there's no news.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we amend the resolution to
You don't-
require biweekly reporting, even if it just says, I'm sorry, there's no news, and that those be reported either, to the town, to whoever the appropriate person, Lori or the
Right.
township.
Right.
give those
Dave and Lori.
That's fine. Yeah, we're not looking for, yeah. I'm not no, we're not, an email that tells us is fine. 80% of business communication is
We'll see a lot of no
electronic.
reports, Dave, I know that.
Mr. Siegel?
I mean-
it was-
Well, first, someone has to second that.
Yeah,
No,
second.
I have to.
second.
Okay.
It's my resolution right now, so let me suggest that what is now paragraph 3, which has the applicant prepares and delivers to the township engineer, I would put one little I, prepares and delivers to the township engineer, one little I, a biweekly report of the status of the application to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and two little I, a new comprehensive study
Okay.
of the traffic conditions existed. So I think that's, obviously we have their agreement, and that sounds like a simple change.
That's fine.
Okay.
Ms. Hall, do you accept
I
that?
accept that.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I-
Mr. Siegel, Mr. Connell, and myself saw how fast PennDOT is with the responses, so that's why I'm saying with the road repairs that they had to do on Marple Road and Arlington Road, so I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for the reports.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, this doesn't cost them any money, so they're more likely to work on it
Yeah,
than
they might be
anything
a little
that
quicker,
actually
yeah.
costs money.
You're saying by the spring, we may
just-
not have
yeah.
improvements, is what you're saying.
I mean, we're not voting yet, but I just want to make some comments about traffic. Our township engineer grew up in this town, and he learned to drive on Eagle Road, and if you put him under oath right now, he'd tell you that traffic was as bad in 1981 on that road as it is right now. And I'll tell everybody in this audience tonight that I was 10 minutes late to this meeting, not because of YMCA traffic, but because you can't turn left on Darby off Eagle Road coming south on it, and that has nothing to do with the Y, and has everything to do with the fact that we don't have a left-hand arrow, while traffic going north on Eagle Road has a left-hand arrow. And not only that, but the intersection itself is lined up in such a way that even a Volkswagen Beetle blocks the view of any car behind it, so you can't just start to make the turn because you're stuck. I sat through 4 cycles of the light to be able to make a left on that turn. And that has nothing to do with the YMCA.
Well, and it's ironic, because those traffic improvements were what was recommended as part of the Y,
That's right.
but unfortunately, we couldn't get approval of the entities that owned the property at the corner to complete those changes, which would have actually helped the flow.
Huge difference, yeah, right. So, I
And,
mean, we
you know,
need, yeah, I
that's
mean,
a,
this is.
that's
so-
a problem the Y can't address, but it is a significant problem, and because I can tell you, having an office in the middle of Eagle Road,
Oh,
the traffic
no,
has
Mr.
increased in the
Siegel,
last 10
trust
years.
me, I know what you go through as a business owner, what your constituents go through that my constituents do not, and I understand that. I just want to make sure that we're not blaming the YMCA for the Lindbergh baby kidnapping here, okay? Traffic has been a problem, and it will remain a problem on Eagle Road until a lot more things happen than just a couple improvements that are currently the obligation of the Y. But
Okay,
that said, the Y can rightly be called out here for not acting fast enough, and I'm glad they acted. I'm sure glad they acted today and didn't tell us that they were going to do it tomorrow. But, the most important thing about this is that this lot is going to help the situation. So let's not put a condition in that actually prevents us from getting the kind of help that going out and buying these properties did for the situation we're facing.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, my residents travel that Eagle Road as much as I do. And when I was here at that meeting, it's not, unless these residents are perceiving the traffic increase, that Commissioner Siegel just said in the last 2 years, it's gotten worse. We're not blaming them for the Lindbergh baby at all. That's, it's ridiculous to even suggest that, but I get what you're saying.
That's my job.
I know what you're doing, right? I think that with the existence of the Y, traffic has increased. No doubt that this other area is a problem. The intersection, making a left off of Darby Road. No doubt about it. But having said that, anything we could do to make it better and as quickly as possible is what I'm for.
And may I add that this entire corridor is a problem. It's not just, I drive down Eagle Road, and Mr. Pannoni, and not to get off topic here too much, but I am astounded at the condition of Eagle Road. When will it be addressed? And it's just, you go to the YMCA and it's beautiful and paved, and then you go to the 7-Eleven and it's like being.
Talk about the condition of pavement?
Yes.
That's state highway.
I mean, how does that all?
The same thing we have on Marple Road.
I know Marple took forever and it's finally done, but it's frustrating because we're trying to get the intersection here at Eagle and Darby addressed. We're trying to address as well as we possibly can the intersection with the YMCA, and then we have this section that is just. I don't know if we need to bring the state representatives back in here, or.
I can make a comment. Can I answer James' question?
Yeah, just 1 second. The road is in horrible shape.
It is astounding how bad it is.
Right, the difference is people like to go 70 on Marple, so those potholes there, they noticed a lot more because they'd break their axles and they'd wreck their cars. Eagle Road goes about 2 miles an hour, so it could basically look like the Grand Canyon, and they're not going to notice it as much. I mean, PennDOT's going to deal with the roads in the order that it wants to, unless we raise a humongous stink.
Hold on a second. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can answer Mrs. Hall, her question regarding the Eagle Road, the condition. Even though PennDOT hasn't advised me they're going to make any repairs, because I'm not holding my breath, but there's a gas line project that was delayed.
Right.
We don't know when it's going to start. No road improvements are going to be made. It will get better because part of the gas line replacement is PICO will have to at least mill and pave half of the roadway.
Right.
And make a half of the roadway.
And I thought
that
we
was
weren't
scheduled.
scheduled to have that this summer, weren't we?
Well,
That was last
It
year.
was scheduled, and it was delayed, and it's a coordination project between
Okay.
PICO. They'll advise us. They advised us when it
Okay.
was going to be done. Then they told us it was temporarily taken off of the project. It's probably going to go back on sometime in the spring of 2016.
Because I think it was originally scheduled during the U.S. Open.
Yes.
And
And it
deferred,
was
so that
deferred
gives
till then
you
this summer.
some
Right,
idea
okay.
of,
But
I guess, the urgency.
Okay.
Not to drag this on more, and I agree. I spend a lot of time, I'm not an office manager, I do spend a lot of time on the roads, spend a lot of times with our colleagues. We work very closely with Marple, Newtown, and Upper Darby Townships, as well as other communities such as Radnor. And I'm very disappointed. In the 8 years that I've been the township manager, and this board has committed more capital funds in road restoration for township roads, I would say exceeding $6 million in the last. I don't think there's the history in the township we've ever committed that much, many funds. I'm going to be doing the budget report in the next few weeks. You'll hear me that we have $1,500,000 budgeted to do more township roads
for 2016. But I'm extremely disappointed that I believe that Haverford Township is forgotten. And I don't
think
know where
so.
the answer is. From day one, from the time I stepped in, I wanted, because I view Darby Road is the heart of our community. We've done everything to repair our medial strips, to make the road look, to make the township look better. Been asking for Darby Road. Every road I've ever asked for just goes in one ear and out the other. And I don't know how these other communities in Marple had multiple roads repaired. Multiple. Paxton Hollow Road, Marple Road. I mean, miles and miles of state road, and we get nothing. So, yes, I think that it's time that in the next few weeks, as we present the budget, we need to get somebody at
We
a
do.
state level here and answer these questions. We're a big community. We're the 6th largest township in first class township in the state. We need to be serviced accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Gentili, I agree.
We're number 5?
We're number 5.
Hot damn. That means I get a raise.
No. That means you get 1/5 less.
Got a debut.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to confirm, Mrs. Hall, you did second that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
No.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Only because it'll help them mess up there, I'll vote yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Number 11, Resolution 1988, 2015.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
I'd like to make a motion for the application for a traffic signal approval to adopt resolution number 2015, authorizing.
It should be 1988, 2015.
I'm sorry, 1988, 2015, authorizing the township manager to file application with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to own, operate, and maintain traffic control device at the intersection of Hereford Road and College Avenue.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner McGarry seconded that. All right, any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Number 12, purchases.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the purchase of one 2016 Ford Super Duty F-250 SRW from Hundra Ford, Manheim, PA, under CoStar's 25 contract in the amount of $27,200.
Second.
Any other discussion? I know you're waiting for this one. You're waiting for this vote.
You can make a comment on that. I just want to repeat to the board, this is an unscheduled replacement. Unfortunately, the vehicle was cited to be replaced 2016, 2017, but the amount of repairs that is needed to get this truck on the road is not financially smart. So we're replacing the chassis. The back portion of it is going to be kept for at least another 5 to 10 years. So the vehicle really would have cost us $45,000 to $50,000. Thank you.
Mr. Gentili, do we partner with Marple with any of that?
No, we researched
or
that.
anything?
There was interest from Marple and Springfield Townships to partner with us.
Right.
When we looked at what the financial commitments we would get for other communities, it was the workload would have been too much, and Haverford Township residents wouldn't get the service that we paid for. So.
Okay.
Great. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. All right, continuation of citizens forum on non-agenda items. Anyone? Come on up.
I live at 552 Washington Avenue. My property is right behind the land that's being developed at the old McCandless fuel site. And I just want, if I may, give you guys some pictures. There's a lot that's been going on thank you, first of all, to Commissioner D'Amelio and Commissioner Connell for coming out and seeing what we've been complaining about, our headaches, our eyes burning. When they dig, new contamination does come up, and the fumes do affect us and our kids, and I think that's what you might have been talking about earlier. So the contamination is definitely there. We feel it often, especially when they dig. The fumes are, I welcome you guys all to come up Washington Avenue. If I may pass down these pictures of the first house being built. We were never aware of how these houses were going to go up. I understand that they're zoned for housing. That's the way it is, and it was kind of forced down our throats. But we never expected to walk out of our houses and be looking at someone's basement. So the basements are being constructed at ground level up, and then we were looking up into the first floor of these people's homes. So if I may just pass out, feel free to take a copy of just a different viewpoints. One is from the street, two are from different sections of my backyard.
While you're
Like I
doing
said,
that,
they're all the same copy.
just a quick comment. Commissioner Hall and Siegel did also.
She has the floor.
You didn't go? I thought you went. I'm sorry. You went, though, Jane.
I did, yeah, I have seen
Commissioner
it.
Hall
I
did.
was there.
I didn't see you.
No, I
No,
just
not
want-
at all.
it's okay.
I
It's okay.
visited with some of the neighbors as well.
I was there.
Keenly aware, yeah,
Oh, Commissioner Leva was there.
yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to
I
take
just-
a copy of each viewpoint, but as you guys can see, as the picture's being passed down, it is a monstrosity of a house. So we were told that these weren't going to affect our property values. Not only have we suffered through the contamination, the mosquitoes, the early digging, the dumping of trucks and trucks full of rocks onto the property, the hauling of several tons of contaminated dirt, the covering of several tons of contaminated dirt that are still present and affecting our health. We now have to look at these houses that are being built, and the basements are at ground level. So I don't know how there's not zoning or variances that don't allow for these monstrous houses to be looking down on our properties. You know, it's very difficult to get a 4-foot fence replaced in the township or a 5-foot fence replaced without a variance, and now these houses are being built and we're staring into their basements. I was just wondering if I can get some clarification on the zoning and how this is going through.
Sure, we can clarify that, Lori.
And are you guys aware that this is even happening? I mean, the basements are at ground level. They're not digging to make a basement. So we walk out and stare at their basements. And their second floors are like 50 feet above where our ground is going to be. They're going to be staring down into our properties.
Okay. All right, we'll answer your questions when we're done with the forum. What was your name again?
Joanne Simmons at 552 Washington Avenue.
Okay. All right, once we're done with everybody, we'll answer your questions, okay? Anyone else? Okay, right here.
David Freed, 548 Washington Avenue. I'm a neighbor of Joanne's. Been here, months ago, I guess. 2 years ago, again, we originally came back when they first proposed developing the property, and we were glad to hear about it because of various reasons. We knew there was a history there. It was at another meeting where we talked about them discovering oil. And back then, and again, no fault of Lori's, was told that it was probably a quart of oil or a gallon of oil. Just to date, so you know, the first batch of contaminated soil they hauled out, 776 tons of contaminated soil. There's now 2 other, maybe 3 other piles equally as big of this. This is all from the DEP file. It's easy for anybody to access. And, it's what Joanne's referring to, too, with these pictures. The reason that is so high is because it's called Lot 5. In Lot 5, they encountered more stuff that as commoners, it didn't take us long to go down, pull the files, and see what was there and what had been there. And, we brought it up 2 years ago. I've lived here 10 years. I voted for Jim McGarity twice, had his signs in my lawn. No offense, Jim, since we brought this up, we haven't heard a word from you, and I don't get it. And, we've been forced to, the media got involved, and we're looking for help here. I mean, now they've already built something, and I hope you all come look. And I know Mario has, I know a bunch of you had, Jane, Steve, and I think even some others when we weren't around looking, I just find it hard to believe that we have to deal with this kind of thing in this day and age. It's apparent that they're making all these conditions for this builder, and, we're glad the DEP's involved and everything else. But, you look at these things, there's chemicals that they found in the soil that they built that, and again, to go back to that, the reason that is so high is because where they excavated and they were gonna put the basement, it was so contaminated, including the groundwater, which now explains why the creek is so, as they determined, poor quality. So they had to backfill it, put the basement like almost higher. So essentially, this is just and just so you know, that's just the first floor. They have to put the second floor and the roof on yet. Like, we probably won't even see sunlight, and that's just the first one. The one behind us, I know we're not big fans of billboards and everything else in the township. It might even be worse. But again, it's just, I'm stunned at like the way this has just kind of been forced down our throats. It just feels like lots of conditions been made. But I mean, 776 tons of contaminated soil. The two big piles that are sitting there now, that have been sitting there, including the barrels, I think Dr. Levin was referring to, have been sitting there since May because no one's accepting the soil where they normally are allowed to take contaminated soil. Now, they just started hauling some the other day, but I mean, it just gets worse. We're just looking for help. And I mean, what originally started all this is way back when they talked about developing the property, we were saying, hey, these are only going to be 25 feet from our house. And we thought they were going to be down in the ground a layer. And now we're seeing that this one, I mean, it's nuts. We're just looking for some help and,
Okay.
just kind of giving you an update because it's blowing our minds too.
It's it. We'll discuss that later. We can't have you talk because you can't see it on camera, okay?
Okay.
Anyone else on this side? I saw you. Peter, you don't want to talk? All right, come on up.
Peter Pugliese, I'm the co-chair of the Environmental Advisory Committee. I actually just wanted to ask if we could get on the agenda next month to give you all an update on the rain garden program. Lots been going on. We've had a good first year. We're looking at what to do next year. We actually put in 10 residential rain gardens. There was a surprise today, Villanova issued an award for the rain garden out at Haverford Reserve, which was, I guess, credit to Nora Schmidt and Peter Hickman for getting the grant and championing the installation of that. But there's been a lot going on, a lot of recognition for the program. So I'd like to take a little more time to address.
Okay, we can give you, yeah, sure. We can
Put it on the work session.
Yeah, we'll put it on the work session. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Can I just ask Mr. Pugliese a question about the rain
When we're
garden?
done, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Or you want to ask? Go ahead.
Just a quick question. A couple of residents saw you doing that on Haverford Township Day in the front of the yard. They were wondering how deep is that because they're concerned that a child, and it's just a fair question, that a child may wander there and just fall into it. How deep is that?
I think that particular garden is probably less than a foot.
Yeah.
And it quickly gets absorbed then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's no different than a lot of front lawns that go like that.
Right. So it's really not a concern because it'll absorb quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly within the limits of what you would find in normal landscaping slopes. Yeah. I encourage anyone here who wants a rain garden, you're allowed also.
It was nice.
Peter, I've looked at that one, and it's very well done, and it is fairly shallow, the one at Atherton. And it's beautiful. It looks great, and it seems to be absorbing very well because I go by there about once a week and just check it out.
Yeah, there's some pictures, there's a Facebook page. There's some pictures of the gardens on the Facebook page. And we have been busy putting them in as opposed to kind of getting the word out about them. But, so we'd like to do a little bit of that. and we're going to launch a little sponsorship program to try to get business financial support for putting in rain gardens next year.
You did
Very
a
nice.
nice job
Thank
there.
you.
It was beautiful.
It is. It's really
All right,
nice.
thank you,
Okay.
Peter.
Okay.
Anyone else on this side? Anyone on this side? Sure? Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. All right. You want to talk about, Lori, you want to come up and about how these will answer your questions now?
What do you figure? I'm going to start by saying that the properties are in an R4 residential district. They have a minimum lot area requirement of 6,000 square feet.
Right.
And whether the building has been elevated now from what was originally proposed or not, there is a maximum height limitation of 35 feet applicable on all the properties in the R4 district. There's also maximum building coverage, minimum setbacks. Minimum setbacks, Dave, are one of the things that you addressed at the planning commission meeting when this plan first came up years ago. So there is a 25-foot rear yard setback. None of the plans that we've seen, and there's, lot 5 is under construction, lots 2 and 3, we've seen plans on. That's the combined lot for one big house. Show any encroachments into any of the setback requirements, and none of them exceed the maximum building height.
Okay, so this house is going to be, you're saying from the ground right here, where we see the ground, that's 35 feet from the ground to the top of the house.
It's the way the height is measured in our ordinance is that it's a 35-foot maximum measured at the front elevation of the house, and it's the median height, the median grade. So you start at grade,
Right.
the median grade at the front of the house, and measure up to the highest point of the house.
And so from the ground right, where we see the ground right there, that would be I would say the median, right? I mean, it's all pretty level right there.
Yeah, and
So
I
it would
would
be
just-
35 feet from that point.
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, the
That's the
height
rear.
of,
That's the rear.
how height is measured, the height of structures, it's all provided in the zoning code. The zoning code's available on the township's website, it's haverfordtownship.org. There's a tab on it for the municipal code, zoning is chapter 182. The property is zoned R4, the definitions tell you how we measure height, and what the setbacks are. So all the provisions for the R4 district are available online on the township's code.
Look, can I ask, are we going to?
Oh, no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I just, looking at the pictures that we're seeing, this, I just want to, so the residents understand, it's being built, is it being built that way because of the contamination and they filled rock on the bottom? Is this for Dave, or is that why they're not lower? I mean, it looks like to me they're going to put more dirt there. So the cinder block will be covered at some point? Not all of it, but some of it? Did they put rock down there because of, you follow what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not saying it right because I'm not a carpenter.
foundation, you
For the
mean?
foundation, exactly. Did they not go further down? Did they build the basement higher because of the contamination and they put rock down there?
I think what happened was that they over-excavated the lot. This is lot 5, and that's where a lot of soils contamination were found after the oils that were climbing on the water in the foundations were discovered. And they had to go out and re-examine the soils because there had been a phase 1 and a phase 2 and a clearance from DEP
Right.
to build the houses. Once that was discovered, they went out and EPA came out and they eliminated the prospect that this was part of the Superfund. They tested for the contaminants that were associated with the Superfund activities, PCP, arsenic, all of the things that were related to the National Wood Preservers. So they came out and they said, this isn't what's going on here. This is petroleum-based product. It looks like old diesel, and it was handed over to DEP as an act to clean up.
Right, I got that.
Lori,
Sounds like we expected them to look.
I don't think that I'm going to say yes. I don't think that there's any wholesale changes in the grading. Any of the grading plans that come in, they're according to the land development plan. They're verified by Pinoni. They review and issue the grading permits. You're not seeing wholesale grading changes. In answer to, I think your specific question was, are they going to build up the grade around it? Is that
Yes,
clear?
yeah, I mean, I would think,
And no, but you did see a lot of earth moving out at the site because they over excavated to remove any of the soils that.
so they wanted to make sure they got all the contaminants out.
Could I ask something? And I apologize, I was not at the planning meeting for this particular development. But when we go through these different things, there's usually, and this is going to seem very elementary, but this fence that we're seeing here, is there any kind of design that you recall, Lori, for landscaping out of respect for the neighbors directly behind?
Well, like uses aren't required to be buffered. You buffer dissimilar uses. So
Right.
If you have
So
a
like uses, you don't,
residential use-
right, when we had the residential and the Eagle, right.
Yeah, right. You buffer the residential use from a commercial.
From
activity,
commercial,
but
right.
residential to residential, it's not buffered.
And I know that this is private property, so this is a very unique, we're not, it's private property, this builder owns it. But is there any, I don't know if the neighbors have spoken to this person, but oftentimes, we do experience a lot of neighborly issues. And again, this may be elementary, but maybe the builder and the neighbors get together and try to figure something out here.
Lori, could you shoot a letter off to the DER about what Dave said about that contamination sitting there? Can't they get it out of there? DEP?
He doesn't mobilize the soils.
Who does that?
The builder does. But he's got to find a site that will accept the soils. And they had a site lined up, I thought it was New Jersey.
Yeah.
And the facility
Not
in
even
New
Jersey will take
wasn't
this stuff?
accepting, I know.
That's got to be bad.
Wasn't accepting the soils, so they had to wait until they had
Larry,
appropriately licensed.
going to Jersey? Maybe.
So they're looking into that.
Let's not have
Right.
Yeah,
couple,
thank you.
let's not.
All right, so there's no place to this go.
Can Mr. Pinoni speak to any of
Of
this?
course.
or-
I don't know how much he's going to add to it. But
Okay, thank you, Lori, very much. Well, I'm just,
Lori answered the stuff.
I know, I'm just kind of perplexed because I know when, and believe me, I've seen even just additions and things happen next door and you don't expect it to be as high as it is, and I am very sensitive to that. And I guess my question is, and I have not, do not know this builder. Have you had any community meeting with the builder, or is there something that,
No. Hold on. Come up to the podium.
if you could?
No, come on up to the podium.
And Mr. Pinoni, I don't know if you've,
You can answer
I think
questions,
that
I
was
just want to get it
passed.
on camera, and so we
Dave,
have
you're
it
just on
Is
the
my-
on the
for a
record.
minute.
My understanding that when it moved to private property and it became the builder, then the sequence of events is that the township then moves out and it's the DEP and the builder, correct?
As Lori said pretty well, we don't move out, but we have collectively, our task is to ensure that the project is built in accordance with the approved land development plans and issued building permits.
Right.
And talk for hours about that whole process.
Right.
But we don't move off the property. At that point, it's one of confirming compliance.
Exactly. Okay, and you feel like this is within, as Lori said, this is within compliance because it's measuring the way it should?
And exactly, and that's our job. And if it turns out it's not in compliance, it's our job to say, if Dave comes in and says, hey, that's higher than the plan required it, and it's our job and Joe's job to check that stuff. And if it's not, that's problematic. We've had those issues in the past in the township, fortunately not very often.
Right.
But they're never brushed aside.
Right.
We've had foundations that were torn up and redone because
Okay.
they're in the wrong place.
Okay.
So it's certainly not something that's ignored if something's not
Okay.
not in compliance.
Thank you. Have you, as a community, met with the builder? And please, again, I apologize, I don't know, whether you have or not.
We got it, I guess back in May is when we had the meeting on the site that I think
Yes.
came to, then Steve
Yes.
and Chris had visited, and Mario, and I think we were trying to get Vitaly to have a meeting somewhere, and he seemed, not against it, but he nothing happened.
Still hasn't
So there's
happened.
been no meeting. There's been about 20 residents down there that we've all kind of gotten involved, and they asked me to kind of like meet with the DEP. So I would go every month. I probably go to the DEP and look at the file and see what's going on. And sometimes it's up to date, other times it's not. But no, there's been no. I mean, we talk to the project manager now and then, and Penny and R is there. Their environmental consultant via their lawyer. And they've retained like one of the top lawyers, in environmental. And I think, they're probably dealing it with McCandless probably, on, who's responsible for what from way back when. But it's still, the contamination's one thing, and I think as long as the DEP's there, they're going to deal with it, just how long it takes. But, either way, we're very concerned about our home values.
Absolutely.
Because in one sense, we're afraid to make too much of a fuss because we already live there, and there's been, I never expected 700, we're now talking, 700 tons times 3, of that kind of soil going on that's bad enough that even Jersey won't take it, right? So, that, and then coupled now with these, I mean, I beg you to come just look from from Washington Avenue, and you'll see what we're talking about. I mean, it's going to be really interesting how much sun we really get, from now on. And that's all we're looking for is, and again, going back to whatever the rules are, the codes and zoning, I mean, I would think based on the size of a lot, there should be some scale to what's appropriate for the size of a home.
There is.
Okay.
There is.
Yeah, I know. The 20. If you look at this thing, and 29 feet is not that. Even back then, I was kind of like, wow, that's not that far, and I had no idea it was going to be. We didn't know. We knew then it was going to be what it looks like now, but the pictures you're looking at is only the first floor, and there's going to be a second floor.
Right, and it's the roof.
So, I just, again, not trying to get people to change the rules, but there's got to be some kind of give, I guess, on, there's got to be houses that are too big for a property or something, or, how far, again, there's got to be some compromise, because either way, we're stuck here. We're worried that now, they're dealing with the contamination, but now we're like, if we wanted to move, technology,
Right.
This house is, is this going to
I'm going to conclude by saying this, that, and I continue to ask Mr. Vitale to address this board, and he does not. So I feel like as a board, we should ask Mr. Vitale to try to work with this builder. I'm not sure, each day that passes, I have a keen appreciation for properties, and I just rarely am I stifled, but right now I am at a loss for words.
Can I ask you about the piles themselves? Your concern was the pile of contamination. Is that an open pile?
The fumes, it has a thin white covering on it, but what does it take for the property to be, because of the contamination? I mean, what are the guidelines there as far as when do you say, hey, listen, this is contaminated, we need to condemn this and stop building? Yes, there's a thin white shower curtain-like cover over all this contamination. I'm sure it doesn't do much when the wind blows or when it rains.
Right.
And it's already contaminating the creek. And there's several piles of it still there.
There's quite, I mean, the one that's closest to the trail, the Pensy Trail that's going in, that one's got to be at least 700 more tons. They've been there, a lot of those huge piles have been there for months. And I don't know if it's a budgeting issue with the builder that he doesn't have the money to haul it, but then we found out that, Soil Safe, the Jersey firm, apparently wasn't accepting it. So it exceeded their levels. Now, they just started hauling some of the pile that's closest to Lot 5. So that's, I don't know where they're going with that, if it's Chester or somewhere. Because I heard there was a place down there, they dispose of it. But there's probably a good 1.4
Is it clear at what point you condemn the property?
Lord, we can't condemn anything on, the township can't do anything about, that's the EPA and the DEP that are involved in any of that, that sort of stuff. They have measured the soil, and they have said that it is safe to build there. So that doesn't come from us. We're not allowed to get involved in any of that.
We were just shocked. I mean, it's like they're building shore houses. I mean, with basements that start, I mean, no one would have ever expected that in this township, and that to be acceptable. It's something we see on the shore. It's completely, not the typical house in Watertown. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, new business.
Okay. Under new business, Mr. Hall?
Yes, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda this evening and add to it Resolution Number 1989-2015, which is for the minor subdivision plan, for Terrador Properties LLC for the property at St. Denis Avenue and Campbell Avenue, Haverford Township, Delaware County, also known as DC Folio 2203. 00264-00, and has been submitted to permit the subdivision of the existing 31,722 square foot lot to create 5 lots. The resultant lot areas are as follows, which was read previously this evening. Lot number 1, 6,373 square feet. Lot number 2, 6,359 square feet. Lot number 3, 6,344 square feet. Lot number 4, 6,330 square feet. And lot number 5, 6,316 square feet. The subject property is zoned R4 Residential District and located in the 3rd Ward. The aforesaid plans were prepared by Herbert E. McCumbee, Jr., P.E., Consulting Engineers, dated August 3rd, 2015.
Motion made and seconded.
Oh, it's been added.
Do me quick tonight.
Added to the agenda.
Okay. So we're voting on to add it to the agenda?
Yeah.
Add it to the
We do that by
agenda,
voice-
right.
Voice vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, carries. Let's add it to the agenda.
I would ask that the board look at the township engineer's recommendations, which are 1 through 27. And I would read additionally that the Planning Commission recommended the following, which is the end of the resolution. The slopes of all driveways are to be reduced to a degree approved by the township engineer, which is number 1. Number 2, the applicant install a sidewalk along Lot 1 on St. Denis Lane. Number 3, recommend a fee in lieu of open space requirements. Number 4, the applicant will abide by the findings of the Shade Tree Commission. And number 5, also the granting of the waivers listed on sheet 2 of the plans, as well as the waivers from the cartway and right-of-way width requirements and from two-step review process.
Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand the fee in lieu of open space requirements was part of our original analysis when we were
That's right.
debating R4 versus R6 here.
Correct.
And that those changes were made. That was discussed then, and the R4 designation as opposed to R6 did have the consent of all the parties. But I'd like to know, what are the findings of the Shade Tree Commission? I mean, is there any complaint on the part of the applicants here as to any requirements of the Shade Tree Commission?
There's one tree, Commissioner Holmes, that has come under discussion, and the builder is taking the appropriate steps to secure the surrounding. There's certain requirements that I actually don't have in front of me right now for that tree, but I can certainly get them to the board, that require that the tree be protected during the construction period, that the canopy of the tree be protected and the base of the trunk and the root system be protected during excavation and development. It sits actually on, excuse me, the name of the property owner is escaping me at this moment.
Eger, E-G-E-R.
Thank you. It sits on their property, and it extends into the property that the Grimes Center currently sits on. And we did discuss that at the Planning Commission with the developer.
The steps they have to take to protect the tree and the roots, did that require going farther back than minimum setbacks or otherwise changing what they were doing, or is this just taking extra steps to make sure that somebody doesn't carelessly hurt this tree?
It's just taking extra steps that the tree will not be damaged and that the root system will not be damaged.
And this is all part of our procedure when we have,
Correct.
No, I understand that. I just know we have at other times had people push back about the findings of the Shade Tree Commission, sometimes their enthusiasm.
What I would say is, from the Planning Commission meeting that I attended, was that I stressed to the builder that I would really like to see this strictly enforced. And the homeowner stressed the same thing. And I'm hoping that the builder, he seemed to listen and understand what we were.
No, but obviously this builder was part of that discussion.
Absolutely.
So this isn't something, even though we don't know what the findings of the Shade Tree Commission, everybody involved in this is totally aware, and the builder is aware that this is going to be on tonight's agenda. Okay.
okay. Anything else? Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
One more thing. If Lori, is there anything that I could defer to you? If there's anything additional that you feel needs to be explained concerning this resolution, it might be a little more clear to the board.
I don't know explain, but I just want to call to the board that when there was a discussion about the rezoning of the property from, it went from R6 to institutional and then to R4 with the latest change. And the discussion at the time was to support the R4 and in consideration utilize the former fee in lieu of open space schedule. So the resultant fee in lieu of open space on this property would be $1,500. And that was, I think, a $10,000 difference between what's under the current ordinance. But the concern and the big debate at the time was taking the property that had been zoned R6 when the church bought it and rezoning it to R4, essentially downzoning the property and making some effort to try and mitigate some of whatever losses they might have as a result of that. And they agreed to that with that condition. So that was the only thing I wanted to remind the board.
Reiterate. Thank you, Lori, very much.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Hyman?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Any other new business? Other business?
Other business, okay.
Commissioner?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, just again, to thank all the volunteers that participated in the Haverford Township Day. I was shocked that we did have that day. If I was a betting man, I thought it wasn't going to happen because of the rain, but thank God we were able to get it in, and it was a beautiful day. And the police, township employees, and all the volunteers did a fabulous job. It's amazing to me how maybe even an hour after the event, you start to see how clear it is and clean it is. So Public Works does a great job as well. November 3rd is Election Day. I urge all the residents to make sure you come out and vote. Exercise your right to vote. Your municipal elections are critical. They're very important. I think that you should really take the time to vote because there's so many issues, as you can see from this meeting, so many issues that affect your lives every day, and we play a major role in that, and we can help facilitate many things, and we pass many laws that affect, the residents. And kudos again to the K-9 Bar for finding that missing woman, and she was, very ill, and we probably saved her life. The police probably saved her life. The dog did anyway. He was a big hit in the first ward at my community meeting. I want to thank all the residents for attending that. They absolutely loved the dog. We had a small presentation of what the dogs can do, and many residents said that they think it was great and they learned a lot from it. So again, thank the K-9 unit for me for their for them coming to show us what the dogs can do. and that's it.
Steve, didn't you say something about a meeting?
Oh, yeah, police committee, if we can, I'd like to schedule a police committee meeting in the near future, possibly next week. Or you want to do it after the elections, or when do you
It'd be
want?
better after.
Okay, so I'll contact everyone after November 3rd, and maybe we'll meet early November.
Okay. Is that all?
Yes.
Commissioner Hall.
I'd like to report to the board that I have been on meetings with the library for the architects for the renovation for the library. It's been interesting, it's been educational, and we have 3 very, very strong candidates. The library is moving along at a very nice pace, and I think that they have a great plan, and they are an incredibly dedicated group of people to making this happen. So I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for getting behind this and supporting our library over the last several years in such a strong and profound way. I also would like to tell you that the Senior Citizens Committee has asked me to distribute, which I did once before, a survey that they put together. I did last spring, but we were all pretty busy with other things, so I'm going to send it to the Board of Commissioners again for review on certain things that the senior citizens would like to get an idea and give the board, get feedback on what's important for them and what's their role in the community, mostly. Also, I'd like to really thank the EAC. It's just, you've done such a fine job with the rain gardens and so many things, and you always do such a great job for Township Day, and we really appreciate it. Recycling is so key, and you make a great effort within this community, and we appreciate it. And of course, November 3rd, please, everybody. It's a long day. It's very, very important, as we all know. So please come out and vote, please. So important. I never realized how important until I sat on this board. So thank you very much for everything. I hope everybody has a good month.
Commissioner Siegel.
Continuing on the theme of Election Day, but slightly different. Off-year elections, the odd-year elections, don't always have a large turnout. This is an important election, not only locally, but throughout the state. We are voting for 3 Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices, which is the largest number of candidates ever to be elected to that court in 1 year. And that court has gone through some turbulent times, so I urge people to vote and to review the candidates to determine. There are thankfully 6, 3 Republican and 3 Democrat, very highly qualified candidates. There are candidates for Superior Court and for Commonwealth Court, and those courts impact people dramatically. Most people don't even know about Commonwealth Court, but if you're seeking unemployment benefits or workers' compensation benefits, that's the court that actually sort of sets the law. We are also have elections for Delaware County Common Pleas Court, and those are the judges where you bring many of your claims. And of course, there are the local elections. Please examine the candidates, see who reflects your values, your desires, your interests, and regardless of party, vote for the people you believe are the best in those positions. But please vote. This is a significant year. People take judicial elections lightly, and I urge you not to do so. Thank you.
Commissioner Holland.
I think we all heard enough about Election Day, so I'll just say please get out and vote. As you all know, every October meeting, I wear a pink shirt. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I have good friends who are Fifth Ward constituents who always walk in one of the walks every year. So this year, the walk they're walking in is this weekend. It is the Avon 39 in New York City, October 17th to 18th. The way you can help them best is to go on the website. It is it's www.avon39.org/New York, and you can go on at the top, you can click donate. And when you go on, it'll ask you various things. You can donate to a participant, donate to a team, or to the event. Either way, you can find some of the Haverford Township people on donate to a participant. One person is, if you want to put in the last name, Posencheg, Posencheg, or Baffa, Baffa. Either one of them. The team will come up, and you can probably go through the team and look for the team member. If you want to just look for the team, you could put Team Busted Lion. And all their names should come up, all the Haverford Township people. And I'd urge you to go on and donate money to one of them. So that's about it. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just, I guess I would repeat everything about Election Day. It's so crucial that people go out and vote and make their voices heard. One of the themes that I've heard a lot of the candidates talk about in this election and in the last couple of elections has been about transparency, about seeing how our government works, about getting more information out to people. A person who watched these meetings would get the wrong impression that Dan Siegel and I often disagree on things. But
I don't know why they get that impression.
I need to take this time right now to say that anybody who's out there talking about transparency and anybody who's out there talking about communication, anybody who's talking about bringing the government to the people, what they're trying to do is to do what Dan has done for so many years now that he's been on this board, really transforming the way that we communicate with our constituents. Dan is not up for re-election right now. He's got 2 more years here, so this doesn't qualify as a political statement right now. It's just one colleague thanking another colleague for his work and just making sure nobody gets the wrong impression about how I really feel about the guy.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Commissioner McGarity.
Okay, I have a few things. Number one, Jack Thistle, one of our crossing guards for many years at Sagamore Road and Wexford Road by Annunciation Church, and presently up at Poplar Road and Eagle Road by St. Denis, passed away, and the service will be Friday, 10 to 11 is the viewing, and the service is at 11 o'clock. Jack was a very good man and worked hard and was very conscientious with our children. Second thing is the Billy Lake Foundation was last Saturday. I talked to Rosie Kane, and it was a total, complete success. Raised a lot of money and had a lot of good competition there. Third thing is John down at Headliners on Brookline Boulevard is celebrating 30 years in Brookline. So he's another success story for the shopping center of Brookline. Congratulations, John. And the last thing I have is our leave schedule for the 7th Ward will be November the 9th, 1 week after the election, that Monday after election. So rake your leaves and get them ready for the trucks to come around. Thank you very much.
All right. Commissioner Wexler.
I'll just add my thanks for Haverford Township Day to all those involved. It was a great success. The second thing, in keeping with Election Day, in order to present the candidates to the residents of the 9th Ward, I will be hosting, along with my opponent, on October 29th at 7:30 p.m. at the Bon Air Fire Company Hall, a Meet the Candidates forum. So both myself and my opponent will be available to make statements to the public and to the residents of 9th Ward and answer their questions on October the 29th at 7:30 p.m.
Or do you want to announce it? I'll defer.
So that's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Connell.
Yes, as far as this month, there are many things. With breast cancer awareness, and yep, I support you with the pink, and it's also Fire Prevention Month, and our township men and women neighbors live next door to you or down the street, whatever. They're just like you and I, no different, and they volunteer their time to their community. One of the most hazardous jobs that we have as a volunteer. So if you have any questions about your fire company, please, I strongly urge you to go down to your local fire company and contribute to them, whatever you can. So it is Fire Prevention Month. And also with voting, there are, if for no other, oh, did it go off?
Yeah.
Every vote is important. And even though there are times where you look at it and say, it's all not that important. You know, one vote can make a difference. One vote have caused wars. One vote have actually created countries. So I strongly urge everyone that men and women every day go to war to preserve democracy. so that we can simply go up and cast a vote. So for no other reason, so they don't die in vain. Cast your vote, make your voice heard for the men and women of this country. Thank you.
Mario, can I just add, 38 years ago, Mike Boardnicker lost his race by 7 absentee ballots. 7 absentee ballots.
An absentee ballots, there you go. Commissioner Hall, would you like to?
Yes,
tell us about-
I apologize. I neglected to announce the business meet and greet event. Please, all commissioners, if you can join us, which is Tuesday, October 27th. This is the Economic Development Committee with Graham Copeland, the consultant, doing a business meet and greet at the CREC. That's Tuesday, October 27th from 6 to 8, and it is at the Recreation Center. So I'd like to see everyone there. Thank you.
All right. I have a few things to discuss. One is the Oakmont School, not Oakmont School, but the Oakmont Administration Building, the School District Administration Building, will be the polling place for
Oh, correct, right.
for anyone who goes to the Grimes Center. So those 2 polling places are being moved. What's that?
3-3 and
3-3
3-4.
and 3-4
Right.
are being moved to the Oakmont Administration Building. So if you vote at the Grimes Center, you'll be voting now at the Oakmont Administration Building. We had, a couple of months ago, we discussed term limits, and we were going to have Jim come back this month, but...
Not Jim.
Yeah, you're not Jim. Jim had to be in Marple today, not Marple, Springfield. Springfield for their meeting, because we moved our meeting to Tuesday, so he'll be discussing that at our next November meeting. We also, next month's meeting, the Delaware County DA, Jack Whalen, will be here to discuss the heroin issue in Delaware County. He's wants to come by and talk about that, and that is all I have.
Mario, can I ask, are we having a work session November 2nd?
No.
No, okay.
No
Thank
work
you.
session. Okay, so can I finish?
So, rain garden will be on
They're going to be on the...
regular meeting.
Yes, the rain guard will be on the regular meeting because there is none for November. Okay? And with that, I will entertain a motion
So moved.
to adjourn.